Hello, everyone, and welcome back to BenchWire. Today, we are recapping the Fantasy Football Championship round. Today, I am joined by Mark, who is in or was in the Fantasy Championship round. He was going up against Super Lamario, which was my brother's team. But Mark, who everyone loves on BenchWire, how we doing today?
Yes, we do.
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about your team. What happened in the championship round? Because it was a close game. You were rocking with CD Lamb and the boys. So what happened, man?
Injuries, man. It all comes down to the injuries. You see it's my quarterback up there, Mister Derek Carr himself. Quarterback number 4. All right, that's all I'm going to say. And then Jamar Chase I had, but he was healthy, but I just had to sit him because he was questionable. Yeah, I'm just going to blame it on the injury because yeah.
Okay. So yeah, talk about your team, like your team name, Joe Kirko Memorial Team. So what happened? How did you?
Yeah, how did that come about?
How'd you go from Kirk Cousins to Joe Burrow? Like, how'd you get that roster so stacked?
I don't know, man. I made a few trades. I'm the best GM in the league, so I had to make it happen. I had to make it work. Well, the first team name that I had was the Big Kirko because of that thing that was going around, and then he got hurt, and there was another team in the league called the Nick Chubb Memorial Team, and that he did that because Nick Chubb was out for the season, so I did mine Kirko Memorial Team, and then Joe Burrow got hurt, who I had as well, and then I also lost Russ in the last round because the Broncos are bums, so
Broncos country.
Yeah.
Let's die. Yeah, they're gonna cut him now. What the hell?
Yeah.
But yeah. So, how different is your team compared from the championship round to the start of season? Like, what trades did you do that made your team to where it was today?
Well, I mean, we had that pretty big trade that we can talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I don't know if you can pull it up, but I don't know what it was. A huge trade. It was a 4-person trade, so I don't know all the exact details.
I would have to go in league transactions and
yes.
do it. But you could start talking about. I'm gonna have to unshare my screen and find it, then I'll reshare it. If you want to just start talking.
It was us 3 for sure, and then we had Mr. Nick Chubb Memorial Team himself, Sketch Morton. He was also involved in this trade as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was the minimal part, right? I
gave
up Dallas
you
Goedert.
had one little thing.
I got George Kittle,
and you won that shit.
Nuh-uh. What are you talking about?
No, he won that part of the trade. The tight ends. He got the best tight end in that trade.
Nah, Dallas Goedert's better.
No, he's not. Stop it. But yeah, so the trade was like you got. So I hated Joe Burrow because he was being a bum in the beginning of the year. He was like putting up like 4 to like maybe 10 points a game in the beginning of the season. I couldn't take it anymore. So and I started out 0-5, right? So I had to make a trade. So like this 4-way trade like benefited everybody, I would say, because I had Joe Burrow at the start and he was awful, but the starting quarterback I finished up with was not the guy I even got in the trade. It was just a whirlwind of a season. I ended up getting Mr. Anthony Richardson from.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. So he stole Joe Burrow from me, and I gave him Joe Burrow because I wanted to change things up, shake things up. So that's what I did, and I acquired Anthony Richardson. And then running back wise, I had already on the roster Kyron Williams, James Conner, and I originally had Saquon Barkley. I did not like his like end of the season schedule, and that was one of the reasons why I trade him. And at the time when I trade him, he was hurt, and Kyron and James Conner was balling. So I'm like, I feel like I can get rid of Mr. Saquon Barkley. So that's why I did that. But that then Mark he got Saquon, and and then you got Joe Burrow. Who did I acquire in this trade? So I got, some guys that, well, from your team, I didn't get anybody that really benefited. They kind of did in some of the weeks. So I got a bunch of depth running backs, right? So I got Alexander Madison, right? Jerome Ford. I got Zay Flowers. He was a pretty decent pickup. And then I also got Tyler Higbee. So these are a lot of players I acquired. But also in this trade, I also acquired a guy named Tyreek Hill, who is the best receiver in fantasy football this year. And I also acquired DK Metcalf, who had a great second half of the year. But yeah, so the trade did benefit the receiver portion, but the running backs weren't so great that I got. There were depth players that helped in the flex, and those guys contributed along the season when, my guys went out, like Kyron was put on IR, James Conner was put on IR, so those guys filled in there. But my team started out 0-5, and I finished the season 8-6. So not a bad trade for me. I made the playoffs. I didn't think I was making the playoffs. I didn't think that was going to happen. But I ended up getting the job done. But Mark, he benefited a lot, right? He got Joe Burrow, who was doing well when Captain Kirko went down. Saquon, he had some good games in there. And then you acquired Goddard, and you got that from Justin. So, Justin, you want to talk about what you did with your part of the trade? We did a little bit. Just talk about it a little bit.
I just wanted to improve at the margins. I gave up Dallas Goedert. I gave up my only Eagle, I believe, on my team. And I got George Kittle, who is like one of my favorite players in the league. So, yeah, you have to give up a player on your favorite team, but you get back an improvement, I believe, a tight end for Kittle, who's one of my favorite players. I just made that trade, just improve at the margins, and helped me finish third.
Yeah. I finished 5th, which is unfortunate, but it's better than finishing 9th or 10th, I'll tell you that. But Mark, you didn't win this game. You lost. What happened? Talk about this game in general. Like, what went down? So it started out hot in the first game of the weekend. Talk about that.
That was the Lions-Cowboys game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, not hot. Well, a little bit. It was hot and not hot for me because I had Jahmyr Gibbs and CeeDee Lamb. So CeeDee Lamb got like 40 points, but Jahmyr Gibbs got like 5. So it was like, what are you going to do? I couldn't really do anything in this game either. Even if I like put all my like better bench players in, I wouldn't have gotten a better score than Antonio. So
we could look at your bench.
Yeah, scroll down.
So, you decided to bench Jamar Chase. I think that was the right move. I said that was my sit of the week in the last video. Only got 7 points. And I think your receivers that you started did better, right?
So if you put if you move Taylor to Gibbs and then so they switch and you put Hopkins in a flex, you got 14, right? Would you have won?
That's the only thing he really could have done, I feel like. So, yeah, Russell Wilson, he got benched for the year. Zach Moss, you did acquire Zach Moss for me. That was a good part of that trade. He was good.
Didn't you got Jordan Addison, didn't you?
Yeah, I gave Jordan Addison too.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever started him, though.
Yeah, he never used them once because he didn't need to. His receivers were loaded.
His receivers were stacked, yeah.
But those are the 2 fallen soldiers right there. Yeah, so let's look at the team you lost against, right? So you played Super Lamaria, so that means he has Lamar Jackson, who's going to probably win the MVP. He had the second runner-up in Christian McCaffrey. He ended up getting banged up in this game, but he's had a hell of a year. Hell of a year. Rashad White, he's been having a hell of a season. He kind of was a dud. So it's 2 running backs right there. They were kind of duds in this game. What really made my brother win this game, I would say, is Lamar, right? And then Mr. DJ Moore, who I think is a Pro Bowl snub. We just talked about that. But DJ Moore, he's been balling all this year. And then Sam Laporta, what a snag he was. He was his backup tight end. TJ Hawkinson was a starter. He just got hurt. And then he also had Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is a stud. He's been a stud all year, but it's just been in and out of the lineup as of late. And then Cooper Kupp.
He still had Devin A-Chain on the bench too. So
don't forget about that. That was another nice waiver pickup. Yeah, he could have had A-Chain. So my brother decided to pick up or start Zeke in the flex. It was a questionable decision, but Zeke was performing well as of late, so I get that. and I guess he liked Zeke's matchup better than A-Chain's because A-Chain was playing the Ravens. I think that was his reasoning behind that. But
Yeah.
all in all, with his decisions, he still put up enough points to score 151 against 135, which is insane. His team was loaded. He did have the second overall pick, and my brother did not make any trades at all, and that's how loaded his team was from day one. And injuries, he didn't have that many. So like he had the best complete team, stayed healthy. That's how you win these games, man. That's how you get to the promised land. What else do you guys want to talk about in this fantasy?
What about your guys' matchup?
My matchups?
Yeah, you guys were fighting for third and fifth place, man.
You want us to talk about ours?
Yeah.
I guess we can. I'll talk about my stud running backs. Let's see. Where art thou, stud running backs?
Great, James Conner.
Oh yeah, James Conner. Let's talk about it. Oh, and my favorite quarterback, Joe Flacco. I had to pick him up for fun because didn't matter at this point. Put up 22 points, solid. I knew Jared Goff wasn't gonna ball out against who they play, the Cowboys. But yeah, James Conner. I told you that was my upset of the week. Upset of the week, Cardinals beating the Eagles, and it was going to be because of James Conner. Well, he did. He dropped 26 points. This is for a fifth place game. I really didn't put much effort into it because the season was over for me. There was no point. I couldn't get any money because this was a $25 buy-in league. But yeah, Kyron Williams. I think that was my best waiver wire pickup of the year.
I think that was, yeah.
Tyreek Hill, he didn't perform like he usually does, but he did enough. He got 13. DK got 15.
Coming off injury too, right?
He is coming off injury, and this was a game they got smacked by the Ravens, so it was lost at that point. I picked up Logan Thomas because Dalton Kincaid wasn't doing well as of late. And then Adam Thielen, I gave him one last start because he was a good pickup in the beginning of the year. The second half of the year wasn't as great. But then Mr. Automatic, Brandon Aubrey, 11 points. Hasn't missed a field goal at all this season, and he's a rookie. And the Chiefs defense, I had to get them back because they were a lot of streaming defenses for me each and every week throughout the season. So that's why I picked them up. And then that's the bench. These are players I acquired from Mark. Zay Flowers, Jerome Ford. They popped off. I didn't even start them. Gus Edwards, he was another decent pickup this year as of late. And then Kincaid actually did better than Logan Thomas this week. And then I also had Christian Kirk. He was a stud in the flex spot, but he got hurt. And then Stroud, he was still on IR, but he came back. He had 12. But yeah, that's my matchup. We could talk about Justin's matchup. I don't know if you look at his matchup. His matchup or Sketch's team wasn't the greatest. He had Joe Mixon.
He hurt his team from that trade.
Yeah, his team. I don't know. Joe Mixon wasn't awful.
That was a silver lining too.
He hurt his receivers because Diggs wasn't Tyreek Hill. So, but he wouldn't have had Tyreek Hill in the first round of the playoffs because I didn't. That's what hurt me in the playoffs, not having Tyreek Hill. But yeah, let's talk about Justin's third place victory. We both won our matchups. I won fifth. He won third. Justin put up 23 points. That was his final lineup right there. If you want to look at it, you want to talk about it, Justin?
Sure. Yeah. Dak was dropped in our league, and then I picked him up. Justin Herbert was my guy most of the year. He pulled out, and then he missed a game here. Then I had to pick up Dak, and then he went on IR. So, and Dak was playing at an MVP level, so I grabbed him, and then I never looked back. He was my starter going forward. He put up 20 that week. Eckler, he was my first round pick. I picked him. I forget where. I think it was fifth pick in the draft, and yeah, so I took him. He's been kind of a disappointment, but. He started off well, and then he got hurt. Just never got into a rhythm from there. Kellen Moore has a pass-happy offense, so it didn't really suit Eckler that well. But Breece Hall's been a good pickup. He balled out as of late. 27. He gave me 43 the previous week. He's been playing great. Brandon Ayuk, He had a good game. He's kind of like the number one. I know Deebo Samuel's there, but he's like a gadget guy that they just plug everywhere. And I use like the pure number one receiver that goes for like deep shots down the field. So yeah, I liked how he played too. Puka was a pickup in waivers. I think after week 1, I just grabbed him, and yeah, I never looked back. He was like position rank 3 for a while. He was like he balled out for me at a position I needed. I needed receivers, so that was good. Kittle I got from the trade. He put up 5, but when you have a loaded roster, as San Fran does, someone gets the short end of the stick sometimes, and George Kittle does there. When you have McCaffrey, Ayuk, and Samuel, so Kittle got the short end there, but he's put up great numbers. And then I went with Jake Ferguson in the flex. I could have went with other options, but I didn't. I know like Waddle was hurt, so I just went with Ferguson. I should have probably put in Jaden Reed there. He put up 20. Was that 26.9?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have went with that, but didn't have to. And then I could have put Bills defense in, but I rolled with the Ravens. They had the number 1 defense. They put up 8 against a good Miami team, so I was pleased with that because I liked what they did against San Fran. So I'm like, why not just roll them? They're the best defense in the league, so I went with that as well. And yeah, and that's basically my team. Jaden Reed just kind of picked up there, and same with Singletary. So yeah, and no Amari Cooper. I would have started him, but he was hurt as well. But yeah, that was my third place matchup.
Yeah. So I don't know what else we have to talk about. What else we got to talk about? Anything else? Any last remarks before we end off this beautiful video?
I don't know. Do you have any predictions for this week? I know there's some championship leagues concluding this week. Do you have any quick tips for fantasy?
Me or Mark?
Yeah, I'm throwing it to both of you guys.
Off the top of my head,
Yeah,
I think the Cowboys are keeping their starters in because they're playing for the 2nd seed. So if you have any Cowboys players like flex spots like Brandon Cooks, start them. Jake Ferguson, start him. Tony Pollard, I think he'll have a big game. If you need him to play, start him. I think Cowboys are a team to look out for against the Washington Commanders.
You know, if they're starting there, like everybody.
Who was that?
Are the 49ers still fighting for the 1st seed, or do they have it locked?
They're resting.
Yeah, they're resting. Right. It's a Sam Darnold show versus Carson Wentz for that matchup. So.
That's pick up Carson Wentz. That's my fantasy advice.
Yeah, if you're in desperate need of a quarterback because, Russell Wilson was benched and you still need a quarterback, Carson Wentz is your go-to guy this week, with Sean McVay calling the plays. It's a matchup made in heaven, I guess. How about you, Justin?
Yeah. I know, for Puka, I know he's probably out and resting. I don't know who would be who it's with Tutu Atwell, would DeMarcus Robinson. Maybe I'll look at those to replace him for Carson Wentz. I don't know. I'll just look at the 2nd string guys, or I'll look at maybe picking up a Jaden Reed or Rashid Shaheed that are still competing for playoff spots to fill in any flex, any receiver holes. I'll just look at that. I'll just look at the waivers, see if there's guys playing that are competing for playoff spots, or they're out. They're just playing their final game of the year. I'll just try to fill in that or get a good filler there. But yeah. I'll just tell anyone that has fantasy questions, comment, and we'll let you know what we think.
We got a comment on the last video. You know that?
I do know that.
Yeah.
I want to ask for advice.
See what I put?
What'd you put?
He's like, who do I sit? It was like Bijan, A-Chain, or somebody else. I'm like, you gotta sit Bijan. I don't trust that man. I don't think he did anything either.
No, Algier did. He had a 75-yard.
Well, Algier did.
Yeah.
Algier did. Yeah.
75-yard touchdown off the screen.
Dud.
Yeah.
He's not a stud. He's a dud. Also, before we end off this video, I would say
his coach is a dud.
Well, yeah, that's why he's a dud, because of his coach.
No,
because of that product on the field. Also, I wanted to say start players that need to hit certain stats to get bonuses. I feel like those are players you want to put in your lineup. So, like, off the top of my head, who was it? I think DeAndre Hopkins needs like 5 more catches and like 40 more yards to like get like 750K. I read that online. So, like, if you got D-Hop, like, start those type of players. They're trying to get some contract bonuses. Another player off the top of my head, I think, was Darius
That's
Slayton.
very possible. Yeah.
Darius Slayton needs like, I think, 6 more catches and like 50 more yards. I think that's doable against this Eagles secondary at MetLife Stadium, and he's done it already that first game in Philly. So, like,
And
give him a
last
shot.
week.
Yeah, he's been balling as of late. So, like, if you need a flex, Darius Slayton, he's out there. So, yeah, look out for those type of guys. I
do
think
like
that
the
would
Hopkins
be
one.
yeah, Hopkins. I think because who they playing? They're
They
playing
play
a division.
Jacksonville, right?
Yeah, they're playing Jacksonville. So,
Jacksonville's secondary is a little suspect.
yeah,
I like that for him. Yeah.
I would start those guys. Make sure they're in your lineups if you're still in the championship round. But if not, it was a great fantasy season. And if you guys want to see more
good luck.
fantasy advice, there might be another new series coming your way. Fantasy basketball. Yes, we're gonna talk about.
Are we teasing it?
We are teasing it right here, right now. Or do you want to tease our lineups? We won't do that in this video. We won't do that. That'll be a separate video. But yes, fantasy basketball.
We need to get 4 likes, and then we'll show them.
Ooh, we gotta hit the like goal, guys.
You gotta get just 4 likes.
We got the 2 likes for the Facebook page, so now we gotta get the 4 likes.
We're gonna up the ante. 4 likes.
4 likes. It's not asking a lot. I know you guys can do it. But yeah, fantasy basketball advice might be coming your way. Maybe we'll talk about some basketball after this football season concludes. But yeah,
I love that.
The future is bright for BenchWire. 2024 is here. So yeah, thank you, Mark, for joining today. Appreciate it.
Hopefully thank you for having me.
Yeah, got you to talk Mark. A little bit. It was awesome. But yeah, I think we're gonna end this video off here. If you guys want to see more, drop a like, subscribe to Channel New. Make sure to follow our socials. They're all in the link tree down below. Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. We got it. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You know it. We got it.
We got it.
That's all we have for you guys today. BenchWire.
Out.